Half-Life Alyx is the most critically acclaimed VR game of all time, scoring a perfect 10 on IGN, is a universal acclaim for critics and users alike on Metacritic, and has a high 9.2 on IMDb. But who really cares about that? Because you clicked on my video, which means you want to hear what me, GG's VR, has to say about the most critically acclaimed VR game of all time. And is it still worth playing 5 years after its release? Also, YouTube has this new feature where you get a certain amount of hype points every day, and if you click this little star icon, you can hype any video you want. So please hype this one because my last video kind of flopped. So I just completed the game like 10 minutes ago, not even, and I have about 13 hours on the game, and I really didn't do anything except for play the campaign through. Most of the gameplays I search up on YouTube only take about 6 to 9 hours. But the reason why mine took 13 hours is probably because I really took my time with this game. This wasn't your average playthrough where you just go through the game as fast as possible. I really wanted to explore every nook and cranny. And when you do that, the game truly does have a lot to offer. In this game, you play as a character named Alyx Vance, daughter of Eli Vance. You, your father, and his friend named Russell are trying to take down the Combine. The Combine is an alien species that has invaded City 17. City 17 is where the game takes place. They find out that the best way to take down the Combine is to figure out whatever's in the vault. The vault is a giant structure in the middle of the city that the Combine is heavily guarding and afraid of losing. Alyx, Eli, and Russell assume that the vault contains some sort of super weapon, so their main mission is to break into that vault. That's pretty much all the exposition I can do before we get into spoilers, so let's talk about So the main gameplay of Half-Life Alyx consists of you moving through City 17 in obscure ways to get to the vault. You solve small puzzles or challenges throughout the game, which are really cool. They're not difficult enough for you to get stuck, but they're also difficult enough to make you feel smart when you finish them. You also collect multiple guns throughout the game and use them to fight head crabs, zombies, and barnacles. This is great, but where the game really shines is in its intense shootouts. These shootouts are against the Combine soldiers, and each of the different Combine soldiers are really well balanced, which makes the shootouts really fun and intense. You of course got the normal one, then you got the shotgun one that can spawn in a shield, then you got the Gatling gun. Ducking into cover and then shooting at these enemies is definitely the highlight of this game for me. A great thing about this game is that it's one of the only games I've played where it just consistently gets better as you go, and it keeps ramping up without any low points. The level design is also incredible, with a lot of memorable levels. Some of my personal favorites include the Explosive Cave, the stealth mission with Jeff, and a few of the final levels, which I'll talk about in a minute. I would complain that you are a pair of floating hands in this game, and it came out in 2020, but I searched it up, and it turns out production did start in 2016, which is when VR just became a thing. And a full in-game player body rig wasn't really a thing to be thought of. Also, City 17 is such an amazing location. It's so beautiful when the game gives you chances to look at wide shots of the city. Without further ado, I think it's time to issue a spoiler warning, because it's time to get to Okay, I'm gonna get this out of the way. The ending of this game is phenomenal. I've seen many great games be good all the way through just to squander it with some underwhelming anticlimactic climax. And I'm happy to announce that this game is not one of those games. Remember that vault from earlier? The climax starts with your character accidentally pulling a lever and crashing the entire vault. Then, this thing called a Strider, which you saw at the start of the game but didn't harm you or attack you, is inside the destroyed vault when you go inside and you wake it up. Then you have an epic chase scene with that and then shoot a grenade launcher at it, which explodes it. When you gather intel that the vault isn't actually holding a super weapon but instead a prison for somebody that the Combine is afraid of, you realize that it could be Gordon Freeman, the protagonist of the first 2 Half-Life games. But when you open the vault, you are met with someone else. G-Man! It's G-Man! G-Man shows you the future of your father dying right before your eyes, and he gives you the opportunity to save him right now. And when you inevitably do, he says that you're a suitable replacement for Gordon Freeman, and you will be recruited by him forever. Okay, turn off the music, bro. When I was playing through the game, I didn't expect it to have a tragic ending, but when it did, I was 100% in shock. I've played a lot of these games where the tone builds up where it maybe seems like there would be a tragic ending, but then it just flips on a 180 and makes everything fine with all the characters and no one dies. But this game 180'd my 180 and completely flipped me like a pancake. Okay, it's not a great metaphor, but you get the point. And what makes this even worse is that they didn't just kill Alyx Vance. they sentenced her to eternal slavery to G-Man. And to add insult to injury, Alyx was actually a very likable protagonist throughout the entire game. Speaking of which, let's talk about that. When I first found out you're playing as a female protagonist inside of a dystopian city, I thought, oh boy, here we go. Another female protagonist that talks like this throughout the entire game and is so dark and gloomy because he has a secret, mysterious, tragic past. But no, Alyx Vance surprised me because it was actually very fun to listen to her dialogue. It felt like Russell and her were having a genuine conversation instead of just Russell talking to a wall while she talked like this the whole time. They also made Alyx just the right amount of funny so she wasn't too obnoxious, which made this great tragic ending even greater. Because you can write the greatest tragic ending for your protagonist in all of fiction, but if the player couldn't care less about the protagonist, then it doesn't really have an impact whatsoever. Alright, I hope you like my little rant about how great Alyx Vance is. Now, let's get to the... Overall, Half-Life Alyx is an amazingly polished game with great graphics, great gameplay, and an amazing story. Is it my favorite VR game? No, it's actually fourth. Here are my top 3 if you're wondering. Finally, to answer the question I asked at the very start of the video, is it worth playing 5 years later after its release? Yeah, obviously. There's a reason why every single website says this is the best VR game. If I had to give it my personal rating out of 10, it'd be an easy 9.5. Anyways, that's gonna be all for today's video. If you guys liked it, make sure to like and subscribe and use the new hype feature, pretty please, with a cherry on top and some icing too. As always, GG's out!